I'm ChosenArchitect, and this is Project Architect 2. Now, if you missed the update video, oh boy, there was a lot of changes, and there's a ton more that we can do in this pack. Well, this has always been something you can do in the pack, picking up doggos, which, by the way, I am out here looking for some doggos. But today, we're actually going to be diving a bit further into like more advanced stuff. Like we're going to be diving into a more applied energistics things today, because we are going to need some extensive auto crafting, especially if we plan on doing any of these challenges that are now in the pack. Oh, by the way, the naturalist snail, don't forget to grab this guy, because you can name him Gary. We're going to do that here in a second. I'll just pick him up. But anyways, yes, I'm out here farming some doggos because you can actually rename all of these dogs, and there's a ton of different names. If you check out the texture packs that are in here, there's all kinds, just like the cows and the pigs, they can all be renamed, and it's super hilarious, some of the things that you can change them to. I do love that you can pick up tamed mobs though. That is pretty cool. That's a mod that's made by Shift, which is another fantastic dev that's been helping with the Modpack. Now that I'm back home, by the way, the texture pack that is doing this is called Party Pups. And like I said, you can check out that CurseForge page and all of the names are listed there. But for example, this is a corgi. Look how cute he is. And then this is a French bulldog. Oh, that's my favorite. I have two Frenchies, and these are adorable. And then this is a bulldog thief, and I don't know what it does. Oh, he's got a mask. He's a little bulldog. I love it. And this one's going to grow up. Oh, that's so nice. Now, this one's from Naturalist, and I'm going to go ahead and place this in here. And if you name tag the snail Gary, it turns into Gary from SpongeBob. This is one of my favorite things to do, and I'm just going to let this guy wander around the base. So now that I've got all of my friends around, and they're kind of doing their thing, what I want to do is start working on applied energistics. So back here, I started clearing out a room, and this is where I'm going to get crafting CPUs. Now, we're already using essentially the fastest molecular assemblers that you can set up. And it may not be in the most optimal formation, but it is in a formation that does work. But what we're kind of lacking on is our co-processing units. Now, we can actually upgrade our co-processing units with another mod that is an add-on to applied energistics. And I've never really touched with this mod or used it too much in the past. And we're going to be diving into a lot of add-ons that are going to be required here. But this mod is going to be called AE2 Mega Cells. And Mega Cells adds some mega additions. So we will gain access to coprocessors that are essentially 4 coprocessors in one singular block. Now, this does require a bit of crafting to get going. I had to make some Inscriber accumulation presses here, which require a calculation press and an engineering press with a singularity, and it does consume these items, by the way, to make this one. And then, of course, once you have one, I was able to make 4 of them. So I have those all ready to go, and then we also have another process, if we go into Mega Cells, that requires us to, of course, make the circuit, and then also need to press it up. Now, to make the circuit, it requires sky steel ingots. And this is the thing that has a very interesting method of gathering that item. So I have done this automation before. It is actually kind of simple to do. And you can do it on request with a pattern provider. All you need is some charged Certus, which does have EMC, some iron, and some skystone. And we just dump that into lava, and we get ourselves some sky steel. Now, yes, this is an in-worlds transformation, and so that is something to keep in mind, but we did add some alternative recipes. For example, the dissolution chamber here, it is a little bit more expensive to do this, but it is contained within a block and not actually in world. So something to keep in mind there, and it does actually consume the lava on craft. But I'm going to be showing off the cool way that we can do it in world. Now, technically, I'm going to be automating 2 different in-world processes. So I'm going to have one that's going to be like right here and one that's going to be right here. But for right now, we're just going to work on this. So to be able to get this to work, I just need a pattern provider, for example, right here, that sends the amount of items into, for example, this barrel. And we have it set to public. I'm just using the personal barrel because it is a double chest. It should be able to hold plenty of items. And down below, we need to kind of keep in account that we need the items to be dropped in world. So to do that, I'm going to use a world transporter. And this is pretty cool. So if we place this in and we place items down, you can see by default, it's just going to drop items into the world. And I think we can make this even faster if we apply some speed upgrades. And in the latest update, by the way, we now have even faster industrial foregoing upgrades. So we have efficiency add-ons that go up to tier 4. So these can go incredibly fast now. Something to kind of take note of, that these do cost a bit more to craft up, requiring netherite, but they are going to make things go significantly faster. I've not done that just yet, but I should be able to apply these, I think. Or at least one of them, right? Maybe the in-worlds don't have upgrades, actually. Oh, no, they do. Okay, so it took my speed and efficiency, I think. So perfect. So now those have the upgrades. And now it should be even faster at dropping items, like incredibly fast at dropping items. So with that, let's grab some blocks because we need the lava to be right here. So I'll block this off like so. And then right here is where our lava is going to go. And so if items go into here, they're going to end up, if I, of course, I have my magnet off, they're going to end up getting dropped directly into the lava. That's perfect. That's exactly what I want. It may seem a little odd, but that is what I want. And then in here for the advanced item collector, we're probably going to want to lower the range down a little bit because we don't want to be like collecting anything outside of this range. We may make the vertical range tall enough to be able to pull the items out. Let's see. That is 1 block up. So we really only need a range of 1, right? Because the item should hover right here where that lava's at. But this is where we have to add a filter. So I think I can drag the items into here. No, I'm going to actually need the items to do this. Okay. So the items that are required are sky stone, which we have EMC for, iron, which we have plenty of. And then we're also going to need charged surge quartz. Beautiful. So now with all of those items, I can toss them in. Let's actually remove this for right now. I do not have one of them crafted up yet, but I'll toss that, and that. And those sound like they burnt, but they didn't. And there's the item. Perfect. Sky still ingots. So now I can set this. So let's place the advanced. Like I said, lower it all the way down and make it like 2 or 3. That's fine. And then we need to set this to whitelist and make sure it can only pick up sky steel ingots. And because it's going to pick those items up and deposit them right into the pattern provider, that should fix, or it should suffice our crafting pattern. Not suffice, satisfy our crafting pattern. Now, building the recipe should be quite simple. We just need to set it to what it actually is and place the items inside. Now, something that I can do just in case I walk over here and I have my magnet and we have an operation running, we should be able to use a demagnetizer. So this right here, I believe, will prevent us from picking this up. So just having that demagnetizer on there is a good idea, and we'll just expand the range like that. And then you can add some tinted glass here so you can actually see the operation happening down here. So let's go ahead, and with that operation happening down here, let's request some of that sky steel. So let's do, for example, like 100. And there is going to be a little bit of a delay. Like it's going to dump all of those items, right? Like it just did. And then, like I said, there's going to be a little bit of delay before it actually does the craft, but there it is, 100. And that is a very fast way of automating these kind of resources. Now, another process that we also need to do in a very similar manner, but using water, is going to also be the redstone crystals. These also have a dissolution chamber recipe, but I do want to do this one right next to this. So almost the exact same setup, except this is going to use water. And so with that, I should now be able to make these redstone crystals. Yeah, this is from the applied flux mod, which we're definitely going to be getting into as well. So it's going to dump all of those items. You can see right there. Beautiful. And then we should get them all back. Oh boy, it is sending them in batches, isn't it? But we are getting them back as they are being made. So they're not like just setting here or anything. So now back over here, I have my requester set up to keep 512 of these in stock. And so now it should have everything it needs to send these items out whenever it needs them. And so it'll process these over here each time it pulls one of those requests. and we'll be able to see those items being processed right here. Now I did go ahead and upgrade my inscribers over here to extended inscribers, and these can do 4 jobs at a time. So essentially this takes my 4 that I had and turns it into 16 inscribers, which is kind of ridiculous, but I can do this for each one. I just have to go through a pretty extensive process of grabbing all of these inscriber presses. It does take quite a bit to set up. And as of right now, I've not had a need for them just yet, but I definitely needed to get this up and running down on the bottom. So I think now that this is up and running, I have access to all of this stuff. So I should be able to now start working on the Mega Crafting Co-Processing Unit. This is the big one right here. And this is going to require 4 crafting units. You can see right there for this recipe and some cables. But all the cables and stuff have EMC, so that's pretty nice. And let's see, everything else is on AutoCraft. So I put this here, and then we get to set up and start crafting these things. Okay. And this is just going to make our crafting faster. This is really what this is all about. So back here, the idea is to have 16 of these crafting units. I'm going to remove the ones that are right here. But the goal is to take all of our current crafting units and have it converted into these mega versions. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use 7 of them for each, which should give me quite a few crafts. 28 per CPU, which will be more than enough, I do believe, to keep up with these towers. Actually, I'm completely wrong here. I'm going to be using 8. So I'm going to be making an 8 circle because I did the math and I just kind of calculated this, and it was like each one of these needs can do 8 jobs at a time, meaning they technically need like 8 crafting CPUs to be able to, for one pattern provider to utilize this, minus 1, of course. But these two together is 16, and this would be 32. So I would need at least 32 crafting CPUs to be able to maximize this crafting, or the maximize this molecular assembler. So that actually works out perfect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a circle of 8 here for each one. So mapping that out, I believe I have 16 here. So it'll be 8 times 16, and we can actually do that math in here. So let's get that mega cell going. And so right here, we'll say 8 times 16, and that's going to be 128 of these needed. And we'll go ahead and get those crafting up. So now I did end up full crafting all of those, but I did find out, yes, it is my setup to get into mega cells was very, very slow. So I did upgrade. It did take a little bit of time. It's just kind of tedious to do. I upgraded these all to extended inscribers. Now, to be able to do this, you need a press for each slot. And you can see each new job title, there's 4 slots, and each one requires a press inside them. You want to make sure auto export is on and make sure it's set to stack to 1, which is what you want. And the reason why you want it to stack to 1 is because on your pattern, you're going to want to upgrade it to be 4 times what it was. And you can do that by putting it inside a pattern modifier. And of course, by default, it would be like 1 like this, and you would just hit this a couple of times until you get it to 4. And 4 is that magic number because it can accept 4 per operation. So it'll hit 4 here, 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 and here, and it'll keep rotating around, especially with this set to blocking mode, which is what you have to have all those patterns set to. So if you already had the prior, this isn't a hard thing to upgrade. It does make this significantly faster to craft all of your patterns. And this over here also, I went ahead and upgraded them. Might as well, since I was already working on that. Now for the center of these sort of CPUs that we're building, I'm going to be using 256K storages. So I'm going to need 16 of these, and that is a lot of processors. And you can see that this is going to take a little bit of time to craft, but I mean, just look how fast that these are actually processing. So these processors can process incredibly quickly. This is actually just smelting up the silicon, but once we get into the actual processing here, we're going to see that it doesn't take too long at all. It takes about 30 seconds or so with the max setup here to be able to get a 256K. And there we go. We can definitely start seeing how quickly now these craft, because we essentially took our original setup and we now have a 16 times version of that. Or is it 12 times? Because now we do 16 processes at once where we were doing 4. Yeah, 12 times. And there we go. I now have, I think, everything needed. to be able to set these up. Okay, so I have my 256Ks, and what I'm going to do now is start building these out. So this is what they're going to look like back here, and then this is going to go in the middle, and this fills out that co-processing unit. And remember, this only costs one channel to have up and running, and now we should be able to see that co-processing in here somewhere. There it is, the 256 with 32 co-processors. Way more than the 3 that we've been running off of. So now with all of these in, I just need to place all of the storages in here. Oh, and this is beautiful. And this is so many, and is going to allow us to auto-craft tons of things here in the future, because we have this section right here, and we also have the Wild Hunt, and we have the Beyond Creative, and also a new one that is going to be coming very, very soon. Essentially, once you have finished all of them, you will gain access to the ultimate creative item. But we'll talk about that, of course, later on, once that whole update is done. But as of right now, I'm just sort of building up my infrastructure for all of this, future planning. So I can go ahead and get rid of these. And I'm also going to get rid of the ones on the other side, essentially making this now all of our crafting CPUs. And I think for plugging up these windows, I'm actually going to use Skyweave. This is a really cool block, by the way, that essentially lets you peer into the skybox. I mean, it basically just represents the skybox that you would normally see if you were above ground. And that's going to look really, really nice, especially in the daytime. So now remember how earlier I mentioned that there's going to be some quest updates and we were going to actually have submit quests and all that fun stuff? Well, that actually happened in this video while I was actively working on this. So I got it nice and updated, and this is it. So if you complete all of these challenges, which by the way, I did go through and we went through and revised the values that everything was set to. So they were pretty high at first, but that was kind of just placed in. But right now are going to be what are, for the most part, these set in stone values. So like a lot of the values are definitely more realistic now. But some things that did change, we now have the final challenge. And this will give you creative vending upgrades in a creative bin, meaning that you can basically place the creative vending upgrades on any of your functional storage drawers, essentially allowing you to have full creative mode. So long as you have at least one item, right? So this you can achieve after you've achieved all 3 of these challenges: the Under Pressure, the Wild Hunt, and the Beyond Creative. So once you have all of those done, you've essentially beaten and gotten into full creative, where you can now pull out anything. Of course, I'm going to get some art planned up in here here soon. Probably tilt this on its side and so on and so forth. There's going to be a little bit of customization coming, and you'll see that throughout the updates. I'm still constantly working on this, along with Rick and also Shift. So there's a lot of things going on behind the scenes that you may not get to see, but there you go. So that is now done. And just some things I want to show you. The reason we're going to need these upgrades to AE is, for example, these mega bulk storage components, right? We're going to need mega stuff in order to make these. So a lot of cool things is going to happen, but it also is a lot. Like 2,000's a lot. And so that is all going to have to happen. And then down here, you have like infinity storage components. So having crafting infrastructure is going to be necessary to be able to craft these things fast. We have the resources, which we basically have infinite resources. We just need the ability to craft it quickly and come up with clever solutions to these crafting problems. And that's kind of the part that I want to bring up. So we are going to be going through a lot of these different tasks, and I'm going to be showing off and highlighting a ton of cool ways that you can actually get these done pretty quick. Of course, not in today's video, but I do want to hint at some things that are going to be very, very nice to do. And if you are wondering how these are even possible, you're going to find out real quick that there are a couple of kind of exploity filling things that you can do. And that's the fact that anything that is done via the Tome of Alcastery can be automated. So any of these resources that you see right here, they can be automated, which is really, really cool, right? So you can actually do this inside of an RFTools crafter. And some of these things are sort of built with the idea that this exists and that you can do it with this. So for one, you can feed this redstone with the RFTools crafter, and then you can take any of these items and you can auto craft that with the book inside of the RFTools crafter and continue these crafts and just loop them indefinitely. And the RFTools crafter is very, very fast. And of course, if it's not fast enough, you can always make more of them, as the resources are pretty much infinite. Now, some other useful tools that are going to come into play, especially for the under pressure section, when it comes to getting all of these 9 times compressed blocks of materials, well, I'm going to show you a little bit of a sneak peek of something that is possible. So if I go over here and I head in to the Mekanism realm, I will show you something that is kind of ridiculous. So what I have here is I have a max upgraded rainbow furnace that has the blasting, has the speed, and has the factory augment in. And we have a fading EMC link here supplying raw iron. That is then being smelted very, very fast. And the rainbow furnace does a stack at a time, and that gets sent down into here. So this has an advanced compacting upgrade in the barrel, and all it does is it just compresses it up the tiers. Now, this right here is kind of slow, but it can be sped up even faster with Industrial Foregoing souls. Yes, we do have the ability to tick accelerate with Industrial Foregoing souls, and that includes this. And by the way, to mention, you are going to need, for example, infinity pipe upgrades, I do believe, or you might actually be able to get away with the netherite versions for this. May not need these infinity, but the infinity does allow like an insane transfer rate. I just wouldn't recommend using too many infinities because it can really start to cause some TPS lag. Now, another new fun thing that was added to the end game is once you finish, you get yourself a creative bin to kind of get an idea of how creative bins actually work in the first place. And inside the creative bin here are chosen skulls. Yeah. So now I have my head, and so will you if you get this far in the pack. And yes, you can pick these up and place them back down as you please. But keep in mind, you can't actually remove the item that is inside unless you're, of course, in creative mode. And so that's kind of the point of these creative bins at this point, where you can only put in certain items in the 3 that you get to help you, of course, complete these items that you see here. But the main item is the final one that you get, which will allow you to have full creative vending upgrades. That is just absolutely insane at that point. So let me know, do you want to see me complete every single one of these challenges? Of course, let me know down in the comments below if that's something you're wanting to see me do, because there's a lot of cool ones in there and I personally would love to do them. But of course, if you guys are always interested in me jumping into something new, that's always something that I'm willing to do as well. It has been absolutely a blast working on this Modpack project. So now with all of that out of the way, I do want to show off the kind of crafting speed that we now have with this setup. And it honestly is pretty fast. And one of the ways that I can show this off is by working towards making some of this honey. Now, we're probably going to do this with RFTools crafters. That is going to be one of the fastest ways, I do believe, of crafting these blocks in this form. So with that in mind, I'm not going to be doing it necessarily with applied energies. I just want to make that clear. What I will be doing though is just kind of showing you how fast this is. So let's grab some honey, and we already have an auto craft for it. And let's just say I want to craft like 10,000 of these. I can actually request 10,000, start the craft, and this is how fast it's going to be at crafting 10,000. Honestly, it's pretty quick. It is doing this very, very fast. And I almost wonder if refined storage would be any faster at doing this. It probably would, especially if you had refined storage and you were using the refined storage add-ons. I feel like it could get incredibly fast. But just look at this. I mean, that is significantly quick. I love how the bar just extends all the way over here for some crafts. But yeah, in that time, it's looking like, I don't know, it doesn't give me a crafting status time, but we've already gone through half of them just in this short time that we were chatting. But now I guess with that, today, I'm going to go ahead and call it. It's been a very busy day for me, getting, of course, this update up and ready and getting it published out to you guys. So definitely be sure to make sure that your mod pack is updated via the launcher so you get all of these new features to packs such as these. And of course, if you've already sort of felt like you've beat the pack, definitely come back and try out some of these changes. I do recommend. So guys, thank you so much for watching today's episode. And of course, be sure to click that subscribe button if you did enjoy, and maybe you'll learn something whether it was about megacells or extended AE. And of course, it's now time for me to thank the amazing supporter of today's episode. And that amazing thanks is going to go out to Jessica. I hope I said that right with all of the tildes. I probably didn't. But thank you so much for your amazing support and choosing to support me over on the Discord by becoming a Discord premium member and supporting in one of the best ways possible. I really do appreciate you guys. And of course, I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Of course, be sure to remember to comment down below. Do you want to see me continue, like I said, with all of those new changes? Of course, let me know. I would love to hear from you. I might still do them anyways, but because I'm a little bit biased to this pack. But of course, guys, I'll see you in the next one. And as always, thanks for watching. Bye.